I originally had no plans to review Wonder Egg Priority. I had plenty of plans to watch Wonder Egg Priority, but I assumed based on the little information that was out there that it was going to be more of like a slice of life Yuri style series because there was hardly any information to go off of it, but it was a very mysterious build up to the first episode. There was a name, then you kind of got a poster image of an egg, and then you got a more traditional poster image, and then you watch the first episode, and it's hard to put into words what it is. It's a mixture of like Serial Experiments Lane mind trickery mixed with like a Silent Hill horror aesthetic mixed with a kind of Madoka Magica world-like appeal mixed with at one point a shot that reminded me of Kyosa Giga with the giant hammer mixed with a completely fresh idea of bringing people back from the dead but at a very great cost to your own life. This is one of the freshest shows that 2021 is clearly going to have. This show is a must-see, and I could easily see being a dark horse of the season that's going to rise up over the weeks, and people are going to be blowing their minds, being like, how is no one talking about this? And then we're going to realize there was a large portion of us talking about it. This show's incredible. This show has a lot of mature themes underneath some pretty cheerful ones. I mean, this episode deals with suicide, it deals with death and bringing people back from the dead. The whole premise of it is, I think, kind of genius. While you go to any, like, supermarket or mall, there's usually some sort of, like, capsule machine. You put in a quarter or something, and you get a little toy or a treat. Here, you get eggs, and these eggs, when you break them, release seemingly a human being who had most likely killed themselves or have died, and the only way for them to be saved is if their own friends come to save them. So these people seemingly go into these worlds in their own dream. They get these eggs if they have enough money. The first one's free. And basically, if you get enough saving people, if you save enough people, your loved one, your friend will come back from the dead. But the thing that makes this, I think, so compelling, that seals the deal, is that during a little breakfast scene, I mean, she got stabbed in her liver, she was pretty badly bruised in this dream world. That transfers over to the real world, and now she's seemingly in a coma. This show has some massive potential to be outstanding. I mean, if you look into the production, Cloverworks really did craft a very skilled team to make this original project, and it shows from every single frame since the beginning minutes to the final minutes. It is outstanding, and I mean, the horror aesthetic that feels like a Madoka Magica Silent Hill crossover, where you have these faceless people or these blurred faces as these like Madoka Magica shaft-like designs are coming chasing after you as a axe-wielding maniac is trying to cut you to pieces, but the person who releases the capsules apparently won't get attacked at all unless probably you're aiding in that person's support as they get chased down. You can't say this isn't fresh and exciting. Even if it didn't entertain you for whatever reason, this is fresh and exciting 100%. The idea of having this like nonchalant kind of non-linear way of telling a story, you're not really sure, are we in a dream, is this reality, what's going on? I mean, she exits her building, it looks like ruin, and then we're in a school, and it's like, what's going on? And the way they're able to explore this character who you immediately knew something was up. She had two different color eyes. I wasn't sure if they're going to go a bullying angle or something more supernatural. And while you could, I guess, say there is something supernatural here with the whole dream worlds and things like that, it was more on the bullying side, which ostracized her from her own friends and things like that. She was a loner, in comes this girl, they build this really nice friendship, and then, bad things happen. And the way they're able to portray death and horror and these vile things, it was so interesting to have a fresh take on tragedy that didn't feel like, even though I do make these comparisons to other anime, it feels like it's influence without being a direct copy and paste, and that's really impressive to me. Because this was a truly frightening episode without being pure terror and horror. While yes, there's definitely some cute moments in the episode, there's some very simple, nice moments, for the most part, it's a pretty depressing episode. The color palette they use is completely spot on. I mean, there's a couple of hopeful scenes and some very colorful ones, especially with the action at the very end. But for the most part, it's dim, it's just grimy, it feels disgusting, it feels so depressing, and it feels like you truly are being pushed away by general humans, and the people who aren't humans are trying to stab you to death, and they're smiling and laughing as they do it. This is a terrifying show, but it feels like one of those shows you get once every 3 years. I'm not going to say a ridiculous number. I mean, every few years you get something that does something kind of crazy, feels different, not playing by their traditional rules, whether it's horror, whether it's supernatural, whether it's comedy. This is going to be one of those shows that I think will really define the next 10 years of anime. Bold claim, might be bold claim. But you can really tell with these types of shows within their first episode. Is it something special? Is it vastly different? And even if not every episode, or even if the story as a whole doesn't do it for you, visually alone, this show has cemented itself as being a visual mind trip and a half, and I can't wait to see more. I will be reviewing this weekly. I was originally going to stick with my 12 shows that I was covering. This one has made it impossible for me not to. Luckily, it's airing on a Tuesday, so it's very, very doable. But still, this is a show that I hope many people will be watching and will stick by. It's not one of those shows that's impossible to follow, which I think will help get a bigger fan base. If this was one of those shows that took like 3 to 5 episodes to understand anything, I could see a lot of people dropping off saying, oh, it's pretty looking, it's cool looking, but I don't understand what's happening. By the end of this episode, we understand what's happening, and the idea is really fascinating, and even if they go technically Monster of the Week, which the monster is trying to save a human of the week, I think it's very interesting, and the idea that you can mass stack eggs and open them all at once is pretty deadly, and I mean, they even bait you in with some Yuri potential romance going on, so it's kind of a lot that the anime community should be digging, and I know I'm going to be in for this for the long haul. Like, the production in the show is immaculate. The color palette I've mentioned is amazing, but the art design, the character designs, even just how they're moving, there's some moments where I'm like, did they rotoscope that? Just the fluidity. It was just so smooth. It was seamless. It felt so beautiful. It really did feel like a well-polished movie at times. And for the type of show that this is, I wasn't expecting this much attention to detail, but seriously, like, this could be one of the best anime of the season. And I know people hate that when there's like one episode left, or they just don't feel that same way about the first episode, but for me, it's like, I'm generally pretty good with my gut predictions for my own taste. I'm not going to say it's going to be for you. This is obviously just my feelings. This is my review, right? But for me, generally, if I get a very strong reaction out of a first episode, it generally remains. And if it doesn't, obviously, I'll take my words back. But for right now, I'm hoping that this is a good indicator of what's to come. And for the type of weird story that they're aiming for here, and the visual trip that they're going with the production, I would be shocked if this somehow failed, because even if the story and characters are whatever, I really feel like they can tell a lot with the visuals alone, and not many series get to do that, so it's nice to have another series from a different studio that isn't Shaft, that can kind of bend your mind with these wacky visuals that add on to this horrifying atmosphere, because it's goddamn exceptional right now. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on what I consider to be the most shocking surprise of winter 2021 down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.